The wound is the place where the light enters you. This is a quote by Rumi, which I love so much. What do you say about it?
I feel like it really speaks to conscious parenting. And it really speaks to how when a parent or a person is in reactive mode and their emotions are charged, it's because there is a wound there. It's a trigger and the parent is triggered, but they're only triggered because there is a wound there. You know, another parent might go through the exact same situation with their own child, and that might not trigger them. Battles on food, battles of social media, they touch each person differently. But the wound is where the trigger, you know, hits through. And then the other part of the quote where the light enters is the beauty of conscious parenting and that journey is when we look at our triggers and then we work to heal through, you know, the triggers, that's how we grow. And that's how the light enters, and we can heal these parts of our bodies and, you know, show up in a different way.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Shafali has this beautiful quote also, and she says that pain is the portal. And I also like that image of portal, and it's like the same image here with light, because we fear these wounds. We are afraid of them, even of our reactions sometimes. But when we see them as portals, as light, I feel it changes everything. And I'm thinking of a sweater, right? When you knit a sweater, and I would compare this to the small child. And then you skip some, during the knitting, you skip some, I don't know how you call that in English. That means that the sweater will have small holes in it in the end. There's going to be small holes in that sweater. And it's like, it's the same for the child. When we allow for these holes to show up, what does a hole mean actually? It means unfulfilled needs, right? It means we don't show up for the child, and he doesn't feel, or she doesn't feel seen, heard, valued. When the child doesn't feel they belong, then these holes are created, and that's the place where later on the light will come through. But the light comes to really shine on that hole, and for us as adults to say, hey, this is the place where you still have to work on.
Absolutely. And, you know, if we would reflect on a person's growth journey or journey in general, it's discomfort or wounds or pain that leads a person to change, to reflect, to, you know, consider something different. And there's so many situations where they say hindsight, you know, is 2020, when you look back and you say, this moment that was so painful at the time brought me to where I was today. And this moment is why I made these decisions. And in seeing that, you know, going through these experiences is how something beautiful turns out to be, you know, and where, speaking about the light coming in, is how the transformation happens. It's challenging, it's painful at times, but it's a courageous act.
Mm-hmm. What I'm thinking of is that no mud, no lotus.
Yeah.
You can't have, and it's the same for feelings. You cannot feel only joy. You need the sadness too. You need both of them, because if you only tend for the good ones, the positive ones, then you come somewhere in the middle and you experience very little. Because you can feel true joy only when you feel true sadness. And it goes the same for every other emotion, right? Somehow it's a complementary thing there going on. You cannot turn on the faucet for only one emotion. I don't want to feel angry. You cannot do that, fortunately.
So there's a story about a man who was having a challenging time related to his work and career. And he went to see a therapist, and the therapist recommended that he go on a retreat. And he said, if you go on this retreat, it will help you to feel better. And then he went to the retreat and he came back and he said, you said I would feel better. I was feeling angry. I was feeling frustrated. And then when I wasn't angry and frustrated, I was sad and I was feeling, really sad. And the therapist just listened and listened. And then he smiled and said, you were feeling better. You felt your anger better. You felt your frustration better. You felt your sadness better. And when we do start to feel, sometimes it is quite overwhelming when we've shut out ourselves from feeling and fully experiencing life. It could be a little challenging when we open up and we start to feel all these challenging emotions, because like you said, we can't open our heart to some and not open our heart to the others. And when we start opening up our hearts more and living from our hearts more, then the beauty is we love more, we feel and enjoy life more fully. But at the same time, we also experience everything else much more magnified.
Exactly.